Minnesota State we hail, hail the purple and the gold. All alumni, old and new, take you with them when they go. From the hilltop, from the prairie, where the river bends to lead them, we are walking proud and strong. Minnesota State on and on.
I moved there in September of 1968 and had the room of B813. And at the time I moved in, both the towers were all girls. You had hours. During the week, I think it was 11, and on the weekends it was midnight, and they locked the doors afterwards. And you had a hall monitor lady that went around to make sure you were there. So if you weren't going to come back, you just signed out for the weekend. Otherwise, you know. So you'd come back after a date, and there'd be all these people waiting till just a minute before midnight, you know, so they'd all be kissing, get their last kisses in at the front door. The only men who were allowed in after hours were the guys who were delivering pizzas.
Hi, my name is Charlie Berg, and I lived in Gage from 1971 to 1973. First year as a freshman, I lived in B607, and then as a sophomore, I believe I was in B823. So there's lots of things that I probably don't want to share at this point, but some of the fond memories were when I was a sophomore, our floor constructed a raft for the R5 river race, the Rapidan rubberized river regatta race. And that was on the Minnesota River, so we constructed the raft in the lounge, and then we had to disassemble it and take it down in the elevator and then reassemble it for the race on the Minnesota River. Another thing that I remember was I worked at the alternative campus radio station, KGMA, which had its studios in B Tower. So that was a lot of fun, and just a lot of good memories, a lot of friends, and hate to see it come down, but I guess time moves on.
the things that we used to do that was kind of funny is back in the day, when Domino's first came out with their delivery, they had their 30-minute guarantee that if you didn't receive your pizza within 30 minutes, it was free. Well, living up on the 10th floor in a corner room, we decided that the easiest way to get free pizza would be that we'd watch for them down in the courtyard, and when the pizza delivery car came up, we'd bring the elevators up to the 10th floor and we'd hold them. And so then after our 30 minutes were up, we'd check our watches, then we'd let the elevators go and the guys would come up. Well, one day, they were starting to catch on to us apparently. One day we were standing there holding the elevators, and all of a sudden we hear the door from the stairway kind of burst open, and this guy comes running up with the pizza, panting, out of breath. He looks at us and says, 29 minutes, pay me. So from there on, we knew that the gig was kind of up. But
tell me your troubles and doubts, giving me everything inside and out, and love strange, so real in the dark. Think of the tender things.
Hi, this is Kelly Halke, and I'm in room 1010, A1010. This is where I was a freshman in 1982 with my roommate Patty. And I guess the fondest memory I have is I'm from Iowa, and my girlfriend was from Iowa. So we went down on the football field, and we wrote, I love Iowa. Well, at that time, we ran out of space to spell Iowa. So we decided to do IA. And somebody from up above, Gage here, yelled down, "You must be from Iowa, you can't even spell it right."
Forget about me.
I lived in Gage Hall in 1991 to 1992, and I lived in A915. A lot of memories there, just like many people. One of the things that I remember was my roommate and I came up with this plan that on occasion, we wouldn't go to sleep until all the lights were off on B Tower, and so there were a couple of late nights waiting for the tower to shut down. So, but after that. 1992 wasn't the last time I've been involved in Gage Hall. I happened to meet my future wife there, and so we ended up getting married. And that's so Gage will always have a special place in my heart.
I want something else to get me through this semi-time kind of life, baby, baby. I want something else. I'm not listening when you say good.
I was Ellen Fausch, now I got married, so I'm Ellen Wolf. I graduated from MSU, Mankato State, in 2003. I moved into Gage in 1999. I lived there in 99, 2000, 2001. I was a Maverick mentor. So I moved in, oh my gosh. So we moved in the sweltering heat of summer, right? And I hauled my TV, those clunky ones, all the way up 8 floors of stairs. So I moved in 814, then I was in 614, and then I was in 414. So I've got many stairs climbed in Gage Towers, and it was a wonderful experience.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against brought me down upon my knees. Oh, I beg and plead, singing, come out of things unsaid.
My first recollection of Gage is move-in day. The crazy lines backed up, and being super excited to to live in and move in the dorms that I didn't want to wait for the elevators. I ran up 9 flights of stairs with my refrigerator, with my TV, and I just remember my mother, and she'll say this, you almost killed me that day. I'm pretty sure if we did it again, she'd be dead today. But I just remember being so excited to get up to my room and open things up and have my first college experience that I was willing to run up 9 flights of stairs rather than wait for the elevators to...
Apple off my head and a trouble that can be named. A tiger's waiting to be tamed, singing you. Confusion never stops, closing walls and ticking clocks. Gonna come back and take you home. I could not stop the tune now, no, singing. Come out upon my seas, curse missed opportunities.
Hey, I'm Kevin Patain. I'm a senior. Started in 2010, and with Gage, I remember those long treks up to the 11th and 12th floor, just to visit friends, and then to come to realize that I was in the wrong tower or something like that, so I'd have to go all the way back down.
A part of the cure, I am a part of the disease, singing you.
When I was a CA on Gage B1, I worked the front desk quite a bit, and there was one night I was there. It was probably about midnight. I worked the late night shift from 10 to 3 a.m. It was a pretty long shift, and this guy walks in about midnight, and he has a black lab with him. And I do a double take. I'm like, is that really a dog? And he walks over, and he's like, yeah, I just found a dog on the side of the street. And he's like, what should I do with it? And so I was a CA who was present, so I just said, I don't know, just get it out of Gage. And so long story short, he ends up finding the owner's phone number on the dog's dog tag or whatever, and he calls the guy, and the guy actually picks up, and he's like, hey, we found your dog on the side of the road. And luckily the guy was still awake. He came to Gage, picked it up, and the whole story finished. But it was a really entertaining night, to say the least.
Staff. I lived in Gage B514. 4 straight years. And the whole time I was there, this was the bulletin board of my work desk in the room, and I just wrote down phone numbers and notes and things. There's even some computer code on here somewhere, I think. The 4 years I was there, and then then graduated and moved on. Well, then this year, homecoming weekend, Gage Tower is being torn down, so they had a tour, and so Gary, Keith, and we all lived in the dorms. Keith was my roommate at the time. For one of the years I had this board, and it was there. And I was just looking at it, and I'm like, it's in the same condition it was like 20 years ago, and I'm just amazed.
night, looking out at the Gage window and seeing a sunset and thinking, you know, this is it. And that was pretty cool. I'll never forget that. With me and my roommate are just kind of like, first year's done, it's over, we made it. And we just kind of looked and the sun just kind of set, and we were just like, wow, man. And cheesy as that was, it was definitely a cool memory. We just kind of took one bad look back after cleaning it, which was a chore itself, and walked away, and then thought no one else is ever going to live there. So that was a pretty cool memory to think, like, we're the last people to ever live there.